Alright, today we're going to change an axle that the boot has ripped on. This is on a 96 Camry V6, so it's going to be different than a 4-cylinder. Alright, let's see. Something to note before you tackle this job. When you get the V6 axle, it has a different design. It bolts down with 6 bolts, and there's a cover here that they'll have, it should be zip tied down. Once you cut that tie, you need to make sure that these pieces stay together, because if this cover slides off, the bearings are going to all fall out, and then you're going to have a horrible time putting it back together. And then also, it has a gasket, which most axles don't have. You just need to line it up before you put it in. We'll go over that more later. But I'm going to glue it down because I don't want this thing to go out of place. It's a little sticky, but not enough. So anyways, let's get to work. Here's another important tip. Both axles actually are the same on either side. On most other cars, they're not going to be, and some people wouldn't even believe it. But this axle will go on the driver or the passenger side. And there's where you can see where it ripped and it was going bad and it was making clicking noise. Okay, here are our tools that we ended up using for the job. We got, of course, the impact gun, 21 millimeter for getting off the lug nuts, 22 for the strut bolts to the knuckle, an extension, 8 millimeter Allen for getting the inner side of the axle out, 30 millimeter socket for doing the axle nut that goes into the knuckle there. And then let's see, oh, also this was for the strut to hold one side, and then the hammer I used to knock the axle through the hub because it was stuck a little with rust. And then these diagonal plier cutters for getting out the cotter pins, and this hammer we used to knock the inner side of the axle out because the gasket was stuck. And then also there's a 12 millimeter, a 10 for some of the little stuff, and a 17 millimeter to tighten the tie rod nut back on by hand. We use an impact to take it off, but definitely don't want to do that to put it on. And I think that's about it. Oh, no, this is for taking the tie rod end off. That tool there. And pliers just for whatever, bending the cotter pins so we can take them out. First thing I'm just going to get out of the way is getting the axle nut off. I bent the pin back so I can pull it out. Looks like somebody's been working in here before. But you can use the diagonal cutters to force it out of there. Trying to be careful not to mess up the threads, but there we go. Probably gonna bend it all up and might need new ones, and I think we're going to, but we'll see. Yeah, and you can see it's all rusted too. Okay, so then you just slide this cap off. This is supposed to be like a safety lock on there. And then the 30 millimeter socket to get the nut off. Ooh, there we go. A little rusty in there too. Alright. So then, well, probably should be using a rubber hammer, but that'll slide back in once we get to that point so we can remove the axle. There we go. Now that's free. Okay. And let's see. Okay, then I need to also disconnect the tie rod end over here. That has another cotter pin on it. Okay, so then we got to do another cotter pin here on the tie rod end. And actually this one is almost coming out already. Alright, there we go. And this is a 17 millimeter right here. So I'll just take it out with the, it's always easier with the impact, just make sure you don't put it back on with the impact. Okay, so then we can use our tool. Hopefully somebody didn't work on this before and over tighten it. Looks like somebody did work on it. We'll see what happens. There we go. Lazy style. Oops. Okay, now we got it out of there. Alright, so now this bolt and nut that hold the strut in are 22 millimeters, so I'm gonna knock those out. Okay. Once the tension's on it, it likes to get stuck. There we go. Alright. Probably another good safety precaution would be to take out this 12 millimeter bolt here so you don't have too much tension on your brake line. Alright, there we go. Okay. So, whoa, now we're close. See, now you can get the axle end out, but first we have to unbolt the other end of it. Oh, and to get more access, this cover is right in the way, so there we go. Just two 10 millimeter bolts right there. Alright, so now we gotta get the bolts out to hold the inner side of the axle. Once again, you should actually use impact tools. We're being kind of stupid and using regular tools. Okay, so you can rotate the axle if you need to. Well, it's actually really helpful. And to get to all the bolts. Oh, and then there's also these plates that are going to come out as well, so that they act like washers. Oh, that one's kind of stuck. Alright. Okay. Now is probably the fun part. And then, yeah, it's just not gonna just fall off, so we have to bang on it a little bit to get it to come out. So I'm trying to tap on it to get it loose, or to get it to come off. It's greasy under here. Damn, I hate these things. I ended up having to use a big hammer and swing pretty hard on the other one. Maybe if I just tap it and rotate. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Got it. Alright. Alright, so the axle is free. Maybe I'll go this way. Yeah. Oh. Ooh, nice. Really turn into sludge. Okay, so there's our old axle out. You can see the old gasket in there. But, focus on. Alright, now we're ready for the new one. So I'm just cleaning off the surface, so basically what I want to do just to be more precautious and make sure I don't mess up the alignment of the gasket, I was just gonna glue it down. So just cleaned off the surface, got a little super glue or whatever, Scotch glue, and then let's see, just gotta line it up with the bolt holes. Trying to glue myself to it. Alright, that should be good. That won't go anywhere now. No, and it'll stay in alignment so the bolts don't hang up as much. Okay, just let that dry. Okay, so I'm just letting it dry. See, it sits right inside that little space there. And yeah, this way, having it glued in place, I don't want it to shift out of position. It'll give you trouble with the bolts going in. It could leak after you install it, so I don't want to risk any of that. This part is good and messy. I'm just using a quick disposable glove so I can squish the grease in there. The glove that I already ripped. Alright, so basically the way they set this up, it's kind of a pain in the butt. Probably just end up squishing a bunch of this grease into the other side, because I see it's not going in there too good. I don't technically know how they expect you to do this, because it definitely needs to get lubed well, and you can't take this apart, otherwise you risk screwing up the joint. Alright, that'll work. So we'll just slather it in there. It's definitely messy, but it's gotta be done. Just try to lube this side the best I can. Now just put the rest in there. Probably wasn't the best way to do it, but it'll work. So now that I made a huge mess, I'm gonna go and put the axle, the new axle in. And yeah, lining up the bolts is kind of fun. Ooh. I think lining up the first one is the worst part. Okay. So now they all line up. You're good? Again, always at the right way to do it, I see the other. I should put the okay, so rotate it, take these things down. Alright. Now we can put the rest of it back together. Okay, so now I'm just gonna put the axle into the knuckle, and then the trick will be to get the knuckle up to the strut and get a bolt in there so it all stays together. Let's see. Oh, more grease. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. So, need our good old 22. And grease and crap everywhere. doesn't feel very strong. Then gonna do a quick little zip on the brake line support. Okay, so now I'm just gonna reinstall the tie rod end. That was a 17mm castle nut. And this one, you definitely don't want to over torque this one. Just gonna ease it by hand. So the thing is, I don't know, can you get a view of this? You gotta line up the hole and put the pin through and bend the pin. And there we go. Sorry, head problems. Okay, so now that one's in there. It's got the pin in to keep it from backing out. Then we can tighten down our axle. So we're gonna put our nut back on. 30mm socket. Oops. Tighten that down. There we go. Okay. Hope our pin works. Then you gotta just, oh, actually that might work right there. Maybe. Man, this thing's too tweaked. Alright, so what we're doing is being lazy and not going back to the store. Well, sort of lazy, this is work too. We can just get it to slide in. Almost there. There we go. Okay, reuse cotter pin. Bend it back. Okay. Now, we just put our wheel back on, drop it down. Oh, also it is recommended to do an alignment. Oh, and put the cover back over your engine. Don't want to forget that one. Okay, the battery's dead on this one. Oh, wait. That'll work. Okay. The end.